Let's take you to this now. The application for leave to appeal brought by the Repayment Administrator on behalf of the Prudential Authority of South African Reserve Bank is before the Durban Labour Court. The Prudential Authority wants the court to overturn a November 2024 court ruling which found the Repayment Administrator, or RA, had overstepped its powers to take control of operations at Ithala SOC Limited. Ithala and the Prudential Authority, PA, are at loggerheads over the scope of the appointed Repayment Administrator's powers, and that's Johannes Kruger. Now, the court heard that the Repayment Administrator, Johan Kruger, conducted a solvency report indicating Ithala's financial instability. Attorneys representing Kruger and the Prudential Administrator told the court that Ithala was operating unlawfully, likening it to a ponzy or pyramid scheme. The court heard Ithala was operating under an exemption notice from the PA, which subsequently withdrew as Ithala failed to comply with regulatory framework, and that the 40-year-old institution was essentially taking deposits from the members of the public without being fully registered. In the heads of argument, the PA says that it warned Ithala that deposits had to be ring-fenced and not combined. Ithala's legal team argued in court that a freezing of accounts was a deliberate, systematic collapse of the bank. Now, the court also heard that Kruger, who gave a directive to freeze accounts, had also halted the payment of salaries to Ithala employees, which has affected the livelihoods of many. Now, Ithala says it will oppose the Prudential Administrator's leave for appeal. In addition, Ithala wants the court to grant extended orders giving permission to continue operating as normal pending the outcome of the provincial liquidation application brought against it by the Prudential Authority. The case continues. Well, in fact, for more on this, let's now get the very latest with SABC News reporter Simpiwe Makanya, who is live for us in Durban. Simpiwe, a very complex matter, I must say, before the courts. Perhaps just talk us through what transpired in court today and what was, just some of the revelations made forward there by those applicants.
Indeed, it's quite a complex matter, Unati, but of course not so complex if you look at the impact of this particular court case that is before the Pietermaritzburg High Court that is actually sitting here in the Durban Labour Court. As you indicated there in your introduction, Unati, that this particular application that is being heard today has to do with the powers of the administrator. The administrator that was tasked by the South African Reserve Bank, is accusing, or was rather accused by Ithala Bank of basically overstepping, his authority when he sought, to gain control of the day-to-day operations of Ithala institution. But of course, you'd recall as well that there is still that pending, provisional liquidation matter that has not been decided by this very court, which has to do with this bank that is currently facing these problems that have been, deliberated upon here in the Durban Labour Court. Earlier on, Unati, we did have an opportunity to speak to, someone who was personally affected by the ongoing problems with Ithala, saying there that the bank accounts of her parents have since been, closed because of this situation, and they cannot access their funds. It's not only that, Unati, but it's also people who had policies with Ithala Bank, and people also who were using Ithala Bank on a day-to-day basis to conduct their transactions. Those people are in limbo as we speak, because at the moment they cannot access their funds from this Ithala institution, and their word is simply that they want this matter to be resolved, and they want this matter to be resolved quite urgently. Of course, the KwaZulu-Natal provincial government has been at pains to point out that they are in support of all the efforts that can be, embarked upon in order to try and rescue Ithala. And in fact, my colleague a short while ago, Jade Lipolsa, spoke to the MEC responsible for finance in KwaZulu-Natal, MEC Francois Rogers, who said that their position as the provincial government is that they want this matter to be resolved amicably so that all the depositors can in fact have access to their funds that are currently stuck with the Ithala Bank as we speak. But of course, political parties have also had their fair share of views in terms of this situation that is unfolding here, saying that the ANC, of course, issuing quite a number of statements saying that they support, the efforts that are being made to try and rescue Ithala Bank. The Democratic Alliance, of course, has been doing the same. But of course, we saw, I think last week, a massive march which was held by Inkatha Freedom Party, showing support, to the depositors of Ithala Bank. But unfortunately today it was only a handful of DA supporters who were able to come here to show their support to the depositors who found themselves really in limbo as a result of what is unfolding here. But in terms of the court proceedings inside the matter, judgment has been reserved in the matter, and we are expecting that once the judge studies this particular application, then he will then come to a decision which will likely give an indication as to what will happen really going forward in terms of this liquidation application that is going to be heard in this very court, Unati.
All right, Simpiwa, thank you so much for that update. Let's leave it there for now. SABC News reporter Simpiwa Makanya there live for us outside the Durban Labour Court, where that matter has now been postponed.